If your criminal activity starts at age 11, should you be able to get out of jail? Well, today we're going to go over Jerome Dennis, and approximately your choice might be different.
Ladies and gentlemen of all ages, boys and girls, thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of Angry Meat Production. We appreciate you coming in and letting us be a part of your lives week in and week out. We hope to do our best to present you with something that your eardrums delight in. Whether you're looking at us on YouTube or Rumble, or listening to us on Spotify, Google, or Anchor, or any of the other podcast services that we are currently on or trying to get on. We thank you. And if you don't mind, at the end of every episode, stop by, leave us a comment, leave us a like. If it asks for 5 stars, we'll take 5 stars, even if you don't like us. 5 stars are what it's all about. With that being said, we hope you enjoy our attempt to make our advocation our vocation. Ladies and gentlemen, let the games begin. We here at Angry Me Production want to thank our sponsor, Mobile Notary Mindy. She's certified with the National Notary Association. She's also bonded and E&O insured. She offers a wide range of services including wills, powers of attorney, medical documents, healthcare proxies, living wills, certification of trust, assignment of personal property, HIPAA waivers, advanced healthcare directives, and 99 verification. You can find her on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram at Mobile Notary Mindy. You can also visit her webpage at TexasMobileNotaryMindy.com. That's TX, MobileNotaryMindy.com. Thank you so much and enjoy the show.
Welcome, Angry Faithful. Yes, today we're going to go over the serial killer Jerome Dennis. Now, early life, Dennis was born December 14th, 1966, the seventh of the family of 9 children, raised in a Columbus Homes in Newark. Raised prominently by his mother, Dennis grew up in the grips of law enforcement starting at the age of 11, but was never charged with any crimes because of his young age. He dropped out of school at 7th grade, and afterwards he escalated his crime to theft to sexual assault. On November 6, 1981, Jerome, at the age of 14, along with his brother William, committed a sexual assault downtown Newark. After the attack, both brothers traveled to Military Park and stopped by a payphone to report the attack, along with giving their identities, and subsequently arrested by police, by which time the phone call had lasted an hour. Basically, they ratted themselves out on this one. After their initial arrest, Roman Williams confessed to have been committed another 2 sexual assaults the month before in October. The boys were charged as adults and stood trial together, in which their father testified on part of their prosecution. Jerome, then 14, was convicted on December 1981 for the sexual assault and false imprisonment and armed robbery, and was sentenced for 30 years, with the minimum release possible of 10 years. Now, after being released in October 1991 after a 10-year stint because he took up baking while incarcerated, attending vocational cooking classes in a Bible study group, he was guaranteed a early release on November 19th and was paroled. Soon after, he moved into a home in East Orange and was hired at Penzington Bakery in West Orange, New Jersey, as a potter. Basically, a potter is a person that carries burdens and goods. I was just wondering. Anyways, within 2 months of his release, on December 12th, Dennis attacked 26-year-old Zelda Bailey but she was not seriously injured and survived. 4 days later, Dennis attacked 41-year-old Robin Carter in New York, sexually assaulting and strangling Carter to death. Her body was discovered this next day. 2 months later, in February 15th, 1992, Dennis abducted 30-year-old Elizabeth Klinner, who was returning from McDonald's she applied for a job. Dennis sexually assaulted and bludgeoned her to death before disposing of her body in an abandoned house. 6 days later, on February 12th, Dennis attacked 30-year-old Stephanie Alston and fatally stabbed her to death, then dumped her body approximately 50 yards from Klindor's body. The next day, on February 22nd, Dennis was armed with a knife when he attacked 23-year-old Harris, who survived. On April 10th, 1992, Dennis killed 16-year-old Jamal Jones. Jones was out with her friends, and when the nighttime fell, she decided it would be best to return home. At about 6 blocks away from her home, Dennis attacked her, sexually assaulted her, stabbed her, and killed her, then throwing her body off a pedestrian overpass. Jeez. Between April 11th, Jones's body was discovered alongside Clinton Austin and a young victim, Shakira Hegsprings. They were found within blocks from one another in Garden State Parkway, but were proven had not been killed days apart. Both the Newark Police Department and East Orange became aware of Dennis's crimes, but did not know the identities yet. At the time, they falsely believed the serial killer had murdered 7 women. Those bodies were found in rural areas around New Jersey's cities Newark and East Orange, and 2 other women reported to have been assaulted at knife point by a man in those areas. During the investigation, police in both of those cities announced to the public that there was an active serial killer. Investigation was underway. Female residents were advised not to go anywhere unattended, and patrol cars was consistent driving around the city. Soon enough, a moral panic grew among the citizens of both cities. The FBI joined the investigation. The reality of the serial killer stalking women in East Orange and Newark was something the cities had not seen. And at the time, the case was being made headlines on news on multiple occasions. The East Orange Police Department and the FBI formed a task force with input from surrounding law enforcement agencies to investigate the case. Community meetings were held and flyers were handed out over the city that gave advice to become more safe and how to use self-defense. Investigators were made aware of Jerome Dennis, a 24-year-old bakery worker with a juvenile record, which included sexual assault. After some time, Jerome's blood, hair, saliva samples were sent for investigation involving the task force. Next, detectives pulled up photo lineup and showed it to 2 surviving victims. Both of them identified Jerome Dennis with little question. On April 13th, 1992, Dennis was arrested and charged with 35 felonies, including rape, robbery, and assault, kidnapping, and on 1 count of manslaughter and 4 counts of murder. He was held with $2 million bond. After the arrest, Newark officials held a public meeting in which over 250 people showed up to ask questions. While the arrest was a relief to investigators, the public was skeptical of Dennis's arrest. The main reason being they believed that the arrest was made to ease their fears, which it does happen. I hate to say that. Sometimes they arrest people just to ease the town's fears or city's fears. Dennis himself pleaded innocent to the charges. However, after some time, he made a full confession to all the murders. One of Dennis's lawyers stated that the client suffered from schizophrenia and requested a psychiatric test on Dennis. For his conviction on February 27th, 1993, Dennis pleaded guilty to 13 charges, 5 counts of murder in the deaths of Carter, Klindor, uh, Austin Jones and Hepsgate. Hold on, I gotta get this name right. It's a lot of letters.
Hedgespeth.
Hespeth. 2 counts of aggravated assault, 1 count of aggravated assault, 1 count of armed robbery, 2 counts of criminal restraint, and 1 count of parole violation. Which I guess if you do crimes for parole, violating your parole, which makes sense. Due to the plea of the lesser charges were dropped, the plea agreement also allowed him to avoid the death sentence. I'm sorry, even if you confess to it, I think you should still, especially with these heinous crimes. Dennis received 2 consecutive and 3 concurring life terms with parole eligible in 60 years. Dennis currently resides in New Jersey State Prison and will be eligible for parole on April 10th, 2052, when he's about 85 years old. Now, on this, and this is my opinion section, I guess, my editorial, if you would please. Basically, on something like this, I think that we should have just put him down. He's showing he had constantly doing these crimes, and something like that, you just got to put in an effect of maybe he's never going to be able to be cured. And yes, I do believe that there's some criminals out there that once they get incarcerated, they do reform. It can happen. It's happened several times, but in this case, I do not believe it will ever happen. But anyways, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching, and apologize for such a short video. But there wasn't that much information on this guy for me to look up. I looked up news articles, and they're basically all saying the same thing. So, anyways, thank you again for watching. Thank you for all the listening, and I hope you enjoyed this.